Okay, so now that we have finished our introductory paragraph, we're going to be going on to our first body paragraph. Our first body paragraph is going to be all about the movie, and it's going to be written in third person. So that means you're going to be using pronouns like he, she, they, them, it. You may not use first person pronouns. No I, no me, no my, no you. Okay, third person only, guys. All right, so we're going to start with our topic sentence, of course. We need a transition, and then we're going to identify that we're writing about the movie, and we're going to give two similarities. This is the only place in our whole essay that we're going to be dealing with similarities. Everything else we're going to be dealing with is differences. So let's look at that first sentence. In the movie, there's our transition. There are a few similarities when Dally dies, such as the fact that he is shot and that the gang is there to witness Dally's death. So in both the story and the movie, Dally is shot and the gang is there to witness it. I've also, in that first sentence, gone ahead, reminded my reader that we're going to be dealing with when Dally dies as our topic. So that's important, and that at this point we are talking strictly about the movie. Okay, so it's important to have both of those elements in that introductory sentence. Now let's go on to our next sentence. We're going to, of course, have a transition, and then we're going to introduce the first difference. So here's our transition, however, and then the events leading up to his shooting and the way in which his shooting is portrayed are quite different. So this is going to give our reader the idea that we're going to be talking about what happened before he got shot and how he was shot, what it looked like, and that they were very different from the actual story. Then we're going to go through and we're going to discuss the specifics, because remember, when you're writing an essay, you always have to assume that your reader did not read the book and that your reader has not seen the movie. So we need to make sure that we have our specifics in here. So as the scene opens, the audience sees Dally leaving the hospital, threatening a doctor with a gun, and robbing a convenience store. During the robbery, Dally tears up a comic book, and when he's running out of the store owner tries to shoot him. So those are some very specific events from that lead up to Dally getting shot. Okay, so see how those two go together. So you have some very specific events there leading up to when he's shot. Now we're going to be looking at our second difference. We need our transition, of course, and then we're going to do our second difference. So here it is, another difference between how the reader might interpret the story and how the director, Francis Ford Coppola, shot the movie is when Dally actually dies. So there I've introduced what the second difference is that I'm going to be talking about. Now I'm going to explain that difference in detail. Okay, so in detail, I have my in the movie, and here's my stuff. Dally is shot, falls to the ground, tries to get up and is shot again several times. And then finally, Dally crawls a little way, calling out for Ponyboy, reaching out toward where the gang is running up. So I went into a lot of detail there on how it was portrayed in the movie, on how Dally died. And that's important. Remember that detail is key. Now I'm going to conclude my paragraph with my concluding sentence. And in my concluding sentence, I need to summarize how the director's choice affected my understanding of the story. Think about it. Francis Ford Coppola, the director, added a whole bunch of stuff into this scene that wasn't in the original story. How does his adding all this stuff in? How does it affect me as the audience? So let's look at this. This extended death scene creates a more dramatic moment for the big screen. Okay, Francis Ford Coppola really extended this death scene out. He even has Dally crawling along the ground, calling out, "Pony boy, pony boy," right before he dies. So what does that do to me as the audience? How does that affect my understanding of what's going on? So by showing everything that Dally does, From the time he leaves the hospital until his final moments crawling on the ground, Coppola gives the audience the ability to better understand the pain that Dali is experiencing at losing the only person he has ever loved. And that's really important. Okay, so that is why Coppola takes that time to do this overly dramatic death scene, all the way from Dali leaving the hospital to where he's crawling along the ground. It gives the audience the ability to really know how Dali is feeling. Okay, one final note as we end this paragraph. Notice here how when we talk about Francis Ford Coppola, the director, it's his full name. And then when we talk about him again, we just use his last name. Okay, that's how it is supposed to be. You introduce the person one time using their full name, and then after that, it's last name only. So, as a quick recap, remember, we're talking all about the movie in this paragraph. You're going to start with your topic sentence, identify that you're writing about the movie, give your two similarities. Introduce the first difference, and then discuss it in detail. Introduce the second difference, discuss it in detail again. Concluding sentence. Summarize how the director's choice affected your understanding of the story. Remember to use your transitions. Those are super important. Don't forget your transitions. And remember to keep it in third person.